let's start with the guy that everyone's talking about. Let's start with Bryce Underwood. So conventional thought is you got the hot shot coming in. If you got a really good quarterback, obviously the hot shot's going to wait until he's a sophomore. But in this situation, and most, especially now that we get into the NIL and you don't want to waste all this money, you know, the dependable backup's going to start for a game or two, and then you're going to get the 5-star ready for game 3, game 4. We'll see how it works out. But I am hearing that he is such a cut above that this might be a sure thing game 1.
I mean, I think it's partially that. It's also Mikey Keene has been injured, so he hasn't been participating in spring ball in terms of taking reps. So it's been Bryce and Jaden Davis. The 4-star was a 5-star at the time of his commitment, but still not with the same type of accolades as Bryce. So it's just been them battling it out in spring ball. And when you give a guy like Bryce Underwood, who is looked at as a Trevor Lawrence caliber, can't miss type of quarterback, then you give him all those reps, and the fact that he's in a position of need, he offers everything Michigan was missing last year. And I mean, you take it and you add on a bit of onto what JJ McCarthy was able to do. Connor Stallions had told me, keeping in mind that he had coached Bryce at Belleville, and when I asked him after practice, I was like, what have you seen from this guy? And he's like, let me just put it this way. He's like, you remember I was at Michigan to halfway through the 2023 season, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, he's every bit of from a physical standpoint, ability to make throws, all of that kind of stuff, where JJ was maybe even ahead of him at the time that I left Michigan. That's halfway through 2023. And I know a lot of fans from other fan bases like to act like JJ couldn't throw the ball. He absolutely could. It's just Michigan runs a different style. Now they're run an even different style with Chip Lindsey coming in. And Bryce, from all accounts, he's pinpoint accurate, can make all the throws downfield, elusive in the pocket. It's got velocity. It's, like I said, pinpoint accurate. That's something that's been missing. That was missing last year, is having that pinpoint accuracy. The downfield throws obviously also missing. And it sounds like Michigan's got the guys that can go downfield and make those catches, whether it's Donovan McCulley, Jamar Browder, or Fred Moore. So they've got options as far as that's concerned. But Bryce has been able to come in and do a lot of what you would hope from being the quarterback position, regardless of his year. The big thing is can he set the protections? Can he read the defenses? I think it helps that he's going up against a Wink Martindale coach defense, right? Seeing an NFL defense. Now, that's not what he's going to see on a week-to-week basis, but I think that certainly helps his case a lot, is just being able to see the speed of the Michigan defense, one of the top defenses in the country if it picks up where it left off from last year. And he's able to still make plays on them, to the point when we're talking to defensive players in press conferences, they kind of slump their shoulders sometimes, like Rayshon Benny. It's like, what do you see out of Bryce? And it's like, well, he can get out of the pocket, like the types of things where it's like, you could just see like the frustration, like, yeah, we thought we had him and we didn't. And like, he's got that type of ability, which might allow for some good plays when either protection breaks down, he doesn't read a defense correctly, any of that type of stuff. Very few interceptions from what I've been told. So he's got kind of everything that Michigan needs. And I think that he's getting plenty of hype. It seems like On3's putting out a video from their national pretty much any time that I turn on YouTube. There's a new On3 video with JD Pickell talking about Bryce Underwood. But I think if he was literally anywhere else, we'd be seeing a lot more of we'd be seeing a lot more kind of national hype about him, just for the sake of, you think about when Trevor Lawrence ended up at Clemson, and it was exactly what you said, right? Kelly Bryant started their first 4 games and then redshirted, and Trevor Lawrence took over. But I think just because it was Michigan coming off of an 8-5 season, everyone wanted to be quick to forget them just due to all the scandal and all of that with the national championship season. I think people just want to kind of forget about Bryce Underwood to some degree. And yet I think he's going to be that day one starter. I think it just by virtue of getting all these reps in spring, getting all this time with the ones, I mean, it's going to be really hard to beat. Sorry to like our mutual friend, Steve Dace. I took a question and I ran with it for about 15 minutes, but
That's why you're here, Isaiah. You run with it. You could probably ignore my questions and just talk Michigan football for the next 20 minutes, and people are just going to be satisfied with that. So it doesn't really matter. But to your point, yeah, Michigan's Michigan. It's as massive a brand as any, but maybe it's the stigma of what the Michigan offense has been, and that even though Bryce Underwood's this great talent, he's not going to produce. He's not going to produce those kind of numbers because Michigan quarterbacks don't produce those kind of numbers. Has maybe suppressed the hype.
Yeah, I think that's still accurate. The Michigan passing record single season still belongs to John Navarre from 2003. It's 3,331. Do I think Bryce will break that sometime in the next 3 years? Yeah, I think so. I just think it's too easy in today's college football. But Chip Lindsey, his goal as the offensive coordinator is to have and this falls right in line with Sharon Moore and following Jim Harbaugh's footsteps. Like, what kind of offense do you want? It's a balanced attack. And they want to be able to run the football, right? They want to be able, like, it's not the way that I would want to, structure it in terms of, you have some of those downfield shots and then it allows you to run. Now, certainly that can be it. That's what happened, I think, for Michigan in 2022. JJ McCarthy had this deep bomb he unloaded early in the Hawaii game. And after that, the defenses said, okay, we got to defend that. And therefore, there weren't stacked boxes for Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. But they want to be able to run the ball and then throw over someone's head. They've openly said that. They will openly tell you that. And with Chip Lindsey, what he wants is a 3,000-yard passer and 3,000 yards rushing. And we've seen him do that at multiple stops, whether it's Auburn back in the Jarrett Stidham days, whether it was Drake May and Amarian Hampton at North Carolina. So those are the types of things that they are trying to do. So I wouldn't envision seeing year one Bryce be a 5,000-yard passer, being that Joe Burrow or Dwayne Haskins type of guy that's just, I don't think they have the offense built for that sort of thing anyway. But they do have the ability to have that balanced attack because the intent obviously is to be tough up front with the offensive line, and we'll see how that goes because it was not up to par last year, though I thought they played very well in the last 2 games of the year. But then you've got not only Jordan Marshall, who got some tough yards against Alabama in his first real showing in the Michigan uniform. They also bring in Justice Haynes, who Alabama fans did not want to transfer, right? Like he's got a little bit of everything to his game. He's just been kind of waiting, right? Like he had to wait 2 years ago. It was, not only was he behind what's his name? Is Jace McClellan? Do I have that right?
Yep.
And Jalen Milroe. And then last year, it's still Jalen Milroe and Jam Miller. So he's just kind of buried on that depth chart, still got like 700 yards rushing last year as a reserve. But now he's got that opportunity to be the number one guy. Bryce will carry the ball, but it won't be like a Jalen Milroe thing where he's going to carry the ball 20 times a game. So he's going to have that opportunity. And so they're going to try to run. And certainly now they've got 2 guys who have shown granted, 1 game for Jordan Marshall and a lot of games for Justice Haynes, where you can see that they can find small creases and make something happen with it, kind of like Blake Corum was able to do. And so that's what Michigan wants to do. So I don't envision there being a scenario where they're going to set all kinds of passing records. That Michigan's not going to make, as rival fans like to call. Like to call JJ McCarthy a handoff merchant. Like that's not going to be the case, right? But I think that they'll unload the passing game in ways that we kind of haven't seen thus far. I think Sharon Moore recognizes the necessity out of, hey, we can't get receivers to commit to this place if we don't try to pass the ball a little bit more, right? Like modern college football necessitates having a functional passing game. So I think that's part of it, right? Is that they recognize like we want to be able to compete with other teams, but we still don't want to lose our identity. So it's going to be a balanced attack. You're still going to see the run game. You're still going to see a heavy tight end usage. You're going to see more downfield passing than what we saw last year. And it'll look a little bit, I think it will look a lot better than it did in 22 and 23, because I just think that with Bryce and some of the guys that they do have right now, it kind of works out better now that they've got 2 6'5" guys on the roster.
In that Marshall performance against Alabama, that was impressive. Not that we don't see freshmen pop off, but it was that he's getting those carries in the fourth quarter, wearing down that defense. As a freshman, and he looked not slight, but I'm sure he's going to add a little bit of weight. But for him to be as tough a runner as he was in that game, I was ultra impressed with that performance.